talk about this, and the reason I felt compelled to talk about this is I actually saw this question asked on Twitter, but the way it was asked on Twitter, and I forgot who posted it. I think it was just on my feed because I follow a lot of wrestling related stuff. But I forgot who posted it. But the question read, "What makes a good title reign?" And they suggested one or two options. And is it the length of a title reign or the amount of title reigns that you have? And people answered accordingly. But there was a third option that came up, and it was surprising to see. Well, maybe not that surprising, but it was interesting to see that I wasn't the only one who thought this. But we'll go through all three options. The first option, and then the second option, and then the last option. I would kind of make an argument for and against all three, and then obviously at the end, when I talk about the one I went with and the one I thought about, I'll obviously make the case for why I think that one is more important than the other two. But first of all, the amount, or I think the first option was the length of a title reign. And on paper, being champion for a long amount of time, at first seems like a good thing. Some reigns that come to mind are Roman Reigns in his 1,000-day run as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. And of course, he won the Universal Championship at Payback of 2020, and then has held it pretty much ever since. Another one that comes to mind is Bruno Sammartino's, I think, like almost 10-year-long title reign as WWF champion, or I think WWF champion. I think by this point it was the WWF. But WWF used to have an extra W way back in the day. When Vince McMahon's dad, Vince J. McMahon, aka Vince McMahon Sr., was in charge of the WWF, of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. But nevertheless, as that long reign, some people look at CM Punk's 434-day title reign as WWE champion, which people were freaking out that, oh my gosh, WWE mentioned CM Punk and his long title reign. Like yeah, CM Punk's in AEW, coming back to AEW TV, which I discussed. So, I think I mentioned it this past episode of System Shock Radio, episode 106. So if you haven't already, go check that out. But yeah, so they mentioned that title reign, or other long title reigns. Even AJ Styles had a year-long reign as WWE champion, over a year-long reign as WWE champion. And like I said, on paper, that seems like okay. That seems like they're actually pushing them. I haven't even mentioned Gunther's current title reign as Intercontinental Champion, where he's closing in on beating the Honky Tonk Man's record. And apparently, he's supposed to break this record on September 6th, a day before my birthday. So you're welcome. But so a long title reign on paper seems like a good thing. A lot of long title reigns that we've seen across all kinds of promotions, such as the ones I mentioned. There's even Adam Cole's over year-long NXT title reign, in which I think did Braun Breaker beat the title reign? I don't think so, because I know Braun had it for a while, but I know he lost it before I think before WrestleMania 38. I think at Stand Ever it was, and then he ended up winning it the Raw after WrestleMania anyway. So I'm gonna take a look here, or see who has the longest reign. And I just looked it up right now. Longest reign. Oh no, I want longest individual reign, and it looks like it is Adam Cole, at least for longest individual reign. But longest combined reign, it actually belongs to Finn Balor. But no, Braun Breaker did shatter that record with. No, that's combined again. Never mind. So it is Adam Cole, who has the longest individual reign. Which I'm surprised they didn't go ahead and let Braun break that record, considering Adam Cole's in AEW and WWE occasionally has a bad habit of doing that. But I am getting sidetracked. just the length of the title reign, but then there's the amount of title reigns, the amount of times someone's held a championship, and seemingly that might hold some importance for some people, that they constantly have the title. Well, in the case that WWE trusts him with the title, such like R-Truth's, however many times, I forget how many times he held the 24/7 championship, but more like a regular, like actual championship, not really like a gimmick championship like the 24/7 championship, but like an actual championship. Some people point to like The Miz and Chris Jericho, their several reigns as an Intercontinental champion, which I think Chris Jericho and The Miz are tied when it comes to reigns with the Intercontinental Championship, if I'm not mistaken. And if not tied, then Adam Cole, then Chris Jericho still has the most amount of Intercontinental Championships. Let's see how many reigns, and I'm looking it up here, but yeah, the amount of reigns some people will do who kind of look at when they try to say nope, Chris Jericho still has the most amount of reigns with 9, but some people do look at the amount of reigns that they've had with their particular belt as kind of oh that's a sign that they're doing good, but then there's the third option, which actually looks like other people beat me to the punch before I commented. I don't even know if I did comment it on the post, but that was the quality of the championship reign. And to me, the quality of the championship reign trumps both the amount of time that you've had it and the amount of times that you've had it. Okay, you could have had a championship X amount of times, or held X amount of championships, or you could have held a championship for a long amount of time and for X amount of days or whatever. But how was your actual reign? Did you do meaningful stuff? Did people even remember that you were champion? Was your reign memorable? Well, in like a good way. Hey, there are reigns that are memorable in a bad way, and we'll talk about them. But is your reign memorable in a good way? Do people remember that you were even champion? And whether you've held onto it for a long amount of time, or you've held onto it for several amount of times. And how's the quality of your reign? How was your match quality? Did you feel like a champion? Did you add prestige to the championship? And some people have debated does the man make the championship, or woman, of course. Does the wrestler make the championship? Does the championship make the wrestler? I feel like it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. Obviously, the championship needs lineage. It needs people to hold it in order to establish a lineage and establish, okay, what type of people hold this type of championship, which is why championships such as the Intercontinental Championship have kind of been labeled the working man's championship, or like one of the best mid-card titles with such a storied lineage, with so many notable names holding it. People like Chris Jericho, or Roddy Piper, or Rick Rude, or like The Miz, or Gunther, even nowadays. And of course the World Championships, like the top prize, and they're kind of trying to make the WWE Championship the Working Man's Championship. At least that's what Seth Rollins said. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen. But yeah, think about all the names who have held the World Championship, or like the WWE Championship. Names like Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, The Rock, Stone Cold, hold The Undertaker, John Cena. But while a lot of people may have held those titles, well, not all of them lived up to that height. And I'll give you some examples to show you that it's all about quality, and it's all about how you do as champion. And an example I can give is Triple H's reign of terror throughout 2002, who pretty much through to like 2005. I think 2005 is when he like definitively lost it, and like the reign of terror was truly over when he lost it to Batista. But that entire time, Triple H had some stinkers as world champion, and he was featured on TV way too much. People got sick of him. And alternatively, the same thing happened with Jeff Jarrett in TNA, with him holding the world championship and being a focal point of TV. A lot of times people got sick of it. And I didn't really watch around that era or the Triple H era, so a lot of this is secondhand. But seeing some of that is yeah, people were sick of it. Maybe I'll review some stuff when I do like wrestling reviews. I'll review some stuff from either man's supposed reign of terror. Yeah, so and those went on for a while. Like Triple H of course lost it. Oftentimes, I'm same with Jeff Jarrett. Like Triple H lost it a couple times just to get it back, which made it seem kind of pointless. But overall, people kind of got sick of it, and Jeff Jarrett would lose it from time to time, but people got sick of that. But then there's reigns like Jinder Mahal's reign. He held it for multiple months, but those matches were abysmal, and a lot of people feel like he shouldn't have been champion in the first place, and I kind of have to agree. Like it came way out of nowhere because Jinder Mahal went from jobber to champion and to world champion to WWE champion, holding the top prize in the company. He went from jobber to holding that prize, and you could tell that it was rushed. That's because that's how the championship reign felt. It was kind of some mad matches, and AJ Styles holding on to it again, and I think was the best thing for it. And even AJ Styles had some pretty solid matches with the title, but it also had some not so great matches, such as like a not as great feud with like Shinsuke Nakamura. So that goes to show that length doesn't always equal quality, because some people will forget that you held it, even if you held it for like a while, or some people remember it like Jinder Mahal's reign or Triple H and Jeff Jarrett, it for the wrong reasons. And then there's the amount of reigns, which that one, and people kind of did poke holes through, like saying, "Oh, how many times you held it? It doesn't always mean it was good," which I have to agree. For example, I can give of that is almost any time the title hot potatoes, because WWE loves doing that. When hot potato from like Charlotte to Sasha Banks, oftentimes throughout 2016, or how it would how the WCW World Championship would hot potato a lot in 2000. And like going from champion to champion to champion to champion to champion, and people holding it several times. That can damage a title's reputation, unless it's something like the 24/7 or the Hardcore Championship, because that was kind of the gimmick of that. Is that it was supposed to be held by a lot of people, and that it would change hands often in a lot of like wacky circumstances. That was the point of those titles. But for the other titles I mentioned, like the women's title and the WCW World Championship, that kind of like hot potato and going from this person to this person to this person, and with some people even holding it multiple times, yeah, that kind of hurts the lineage. Or like whenever Edge would hold like the WWE Championship, he never really held on to it for long. Apparently, Jinder Mahal's one WWE Championship reign is longer than all of Edge's WWE Championship reigns combined, which is really sad when you think about it. Holding it for a certain amount of times doesn't always mean it's a good run or that it's memorable. But same with holding it for a long amount of time. It's all about quality. What type of matches did you have? Did you have good matches? Did you have bad matches? Who did you face? Did you face the same person over and over and over again? Or did you face a variety of people? Well, did you have good feuds? Or did you have like subpar, mediocre feuds? Or did you have bad feuds that led to good matches? Did you have good feuds that led to bad matches? Because we've seen examples of both of those, such as like kind of a meh feud leading to a pretty solid match. We've seen that plenty of times. Or we've seen, of course, the bad feud leading to a really fantastic match. I think I said that backward. It's good feud, bad match, bad feud, good match. But you get the idea. It's all about quality, in my opinion. That was the opinion of a lot of people. It's all about quality, quantity over quality, and that applies to both sides. Whether you've held on to it for a lot of times, or when you held on to it a long time. It's all about quality. There's been plenty of people where you may have held on to it for quite a few times, but people forget that you held on to it. And even if you held on to it for multiple times, or they know you held on to it for multiple times, but nothing of note really happened when you held on to it during that time. And thankfully, it doesn't discriminate when it comes to championships or company. We've seen it hit, unfortunately, in like WWE, in AEW, in Impact, Ring. I'm sure we've probably seen it in Ring of Honor, even though I didn't really watch Ring of Honor, or necessarily Impact for that matter. And we've seen it with several championships. We've seen it with world championships, with the mid-card titles, with the tag team titles, with the women's championships. It was just because you hold on to it for a long time, or you hold on to it for a lot of times, doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It's all about quality. Quality over quantity every single time. And they try, but we've seen also when they try to exhibit the whole quantity over quality, which doesn't really work out. They'll talk about, oh, they held onto it for a good time, for a good long time. That must mean it's good, right? But not really. For example, let's use Roman Reigns as an example. Roman Reigns holding on to the Universal Championship. It's a long one, but he's also had some pretty solid defenses. It's when it comes to holding the title. Like his match against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania was pretty good. But of course, there's the Bloodline storyline, which been happening. Then there's the defense against guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. The one against Edge, I heard, was really good, even though I have yet to actually check that out. The match against Brock Lesnar, more specifically the SummerSlam one, was really good. At SummerSlam of last year or so. Roman has had a pretty good track record, and so far MJF, who I feel like is going to hold on to it for a while, already has had some pretty solid matches. For example, the Iron Man match against Bryan Danielson at Revolution, and the Fatal 4-Way that he had against Jungle Boy, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin. Pretty solid matches. That's just so having the good quality of matches will have people remember the title reign, will make people remember the title reign more. And if you can keep things interesting and throughout the title reign, that will make people more invested in it. If every defense of yours is a slog, and people will have to, like, it's a chore to watch every time you defend the title, well, that's not the sign of a good title reign. But if you constantly put on a really solid match, then people will remember the title reign, regardless of length. Such as John Cena's U.S. Open Challenge, and how that lasted for a little while. But he had really solid matches when he would defend the U.S. title. Memorable matches against people like Neville or Sami Zayn. And so, I say all that to say, it's all about quality. It's all about the quality of the championship reign. So, what makes a good championship reign is not the amount of times you held it. It's not how long you've held it. It's all about what you did while you were champion, which I think goes without saying, right? Like, people remember memorable feuds, memorable championship matches is more than how many times someone has held it or how long someone's held it for, but I feel like some people do kind of try to justify they held on to it for a long time, surely that must mean the reign's good, but that's not always the case, I feel like. But nevertheless, I think that's going to do it for this discussion. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the discussion. Like, do you agree or disagree with my sentiments? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much.